Currently what I'm looking at, but I'm at Capernaum, and up on the western side of the Sea of Galilee, and I'm currently looking at a Byzantine church, but below that would have been supposedly Peter's house, and which is gradually expanded and eventually became a church on the first from that period of time. Currently there's this modern structure above this area, so you can't really see a lot, but again, this is supposedly was Peter's house in the first century. This area here was the rest of Capernaum at this time, and you can see the ruins from basalt because of the volcanic activity in this area long ago. This is about as far as I can go because of the it's all caged in and everything, but this is generally the location of the Capernaum city during the time of Christ. Okay, currently I am in off the Sea of Galilee, which is right over in this direction, and what I am looking at is Capernaum and the first century ruins. Directly in front of me you see this flying saucer type of building. That's obviously not from the first century, but below it is a Byzantine church, and you can see they're doing construction work on this building and some other areas. Nothing like destroying archaeological finds, but below that is a Byzantine church, and below that is supposedly Peter's house that they had found from that period. One of the things that's interesting about this area, you've got several different fishermen from the Galantis area. James, John, Peter, and Philip. You know, they would have caught their fish in this general area, and there were places that had springs going directly into the Sea of Galilee. So it's a lot of fish food, basically. So heavily fished area. Because of that, probably most of the fish in the Sea of Galilee lived in this area, which is one reason why they had a fishing industry off this coast and not around the other sides of the Sea of Galilee. And they would have taken their fish afterwards over to Magdala, which is in this direction. Obviously you can't see it because of the flying saucer thing, but even though the trees, Magdala is in that direction, so and that's in Galilee, so they would have had to cross over, and in that crossover where they sold their food, it would have been taxed, and most likely who would have taxed it? Probably Matthew, the tax collector, who also ended up becoming a disciple of Jesus Christ. So this is quite interesting how everything comes together. Where Jesus came up here to look for disciples, and here they were fishing. And what did Christ tell them to do? To become fishers of men. And again, this is all fenced in. Goes around so you can see the whole area. And this is not from the first century. This is probably Byzantine period building, but this is it. It's Capernaum. Okay, so I'm currently in Capernaum, and what I'm looking at is not more rocks, but this is actually an excavated area of the part of the synagogue that the centurion from the Gospels would have built for the Jews. The God-fearing Gentile. Again, this is just a section of it. This church that's around here was built after this on top of that original structure. And these are all from the Byzantine period, but you see the actual size of how the synagogue would have been. So this was no small synagogue. This is rather large. And you see the columns here again. This is from the Byzantine period. This is not from the first century that the centurion had built, but it is on top of it, which means this area is about the size of what it would have been. And to give you an idea of the location, the The Sea of Galilee is in this direction that I'm pointing towards. And as I walk around, you can see the rest of this area here. But as I walk through this doorway, this is where Peter's church would have been. Peter's house would have been, over that flying saucer thing. So, you know, it's, again, that's also built on a church, first century church, that was built on top of his house. So you can see how close these are. They're not far away. So the people would have known that the centurion would have built a synagogue, especially with a church so close, so literally a stone's throw away. And again, this is the rest of ancient Capernaum and the Sea of Galilee, where Peter, James, and John would have fished out of. Where I am is the I'll call it a flying saucer at Capernaum. It's actually a building that was constructed during Pope Paul II's visit here, and where I am is directly above the Byzantine building structure of St. Peter's house. But this area would have been where Jesus could have stayed. It's currently in an octagon shape. This is actually a later development. The room would have been smaller, but you can see all of the different rooms that had existed ahead of time when Jesus would have stayed here. But when Jesus talks about he will go to his Father's house and prepare many rooms, and this house had several rooms. It gives an idea of the reference to why he would have said that here. Anyway, so this is the church area. Again, this is just the church around the house. They had kind of deified it a little bit, but yep. And back to the front again.